I love how we just have the most outlandishly random mug collection.
Kia ora everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Wholesome Half Hour. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a little bit sick this week, so please bear with me if my voice is less than pleasant. I mean, it's
alright.
It's not super pleasant at the best of
worse.
times. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I feel like I'm always, like, the amount of times I've been on the podcast sick versus you, I'm, like,
I have been as well,
I'm
but
like
not,
a
I
very
feel like
sickly person. I feel
yeah.
no.
Maybe you take more. I don't know.
Alright.
I don't know what makes you sick. Zinc.
Are we done with this bit now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this week,
Move that way a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not very much. Yeah, like that much. That's good. Yeah.
happy?
You can keep going. Yeah.
Okay. So this week on our Instagram stories, we asked you guys about the kinds of things that not trouble you, the kinds of things that you've been experiencing, like social dynamics and stuff at school, between teachers, between friends, between siblings, between, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So just navigating the social dynamics of high school. And you guys gave us a lot of questions. We got quite a lot of, like, quite often I find in the questions when we're going through them, we get quite often a lot of the same question.
Just cropping up again.
But like this week, we've got so many questions
really unique
because
stuff
yeah. So I feel like this week we're going to end up talking about a few things that I don't think we've actually talked about in previous podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like just saying as a disclaimer now for a lot of this, I think you and I will probably be giving like a lot of our opinion on these kind of things, and this does not.
Okay, for the opinion, you know. If you wanted facts, you go to stuff.co.nz.
Like, I always do my best to try and give advice that's like, you know, leveled and reasonable and stuff like that. But I think a lot of these questions introduce that kind of bias from like our own experiences and stuff like that. So I think just disclaimer now, you know, if you don't agree with something that we say, that's absolutely fine. And if you do agree, that's cool too. That's better
because we're smart people. So if you agree with us,
I mean, 50% of us here are smart. But yeah, so just look, it was on my end. Don't worry.
So you're the 50% that's smart.
No, I'm the 50% that's not.
No, I don't want to be the 50% that's smart.
That's too much pressure.
Shall we be 25% smart each?
All right, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so you know, if you disagree with us, that's absolutely fine. I think a lot of these will come from our own personal experiences.
Yeah.
So hopefully it just gives you guys a bit more insight into the situation and maybe into situations, sorry, I should say, and might give you a bit of perspective on either what you could do about it, or I think it also, like, one of the biggest things is almost everything here that we have in questions, I feel like I've experienced at some point. And it's like, it's okay at the end. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, none of these as frustrating as some of these are at the time, they're not make or break. So if that's
Shall we
also
get into
something.
some of the questions?
Yes. Let's start a bit nicer than that
let's
first one. That first one
come back to that
is a
later.
bit hefty for now. So how to deal with drifting away from old friends?
Yeah, this one's interesting, and definitely, I don't know, it's
There's a few questions of like a similar tone, but they very differently, but I reckon we'll go through all the friends ones like together.
Okay, cool.
I think that makes more sense.
Drifting away from old friends, I don't know, it's definitely something I've experienced. I feel like as you get older and as you move on in life, you'll inevitably drift away from more people. And it's interesting because, like, I don't know, for me, I feel like that falls into a few different buckets. There's people you just like drift away from, and like you don't really think about it until like they've gone, but it's not.
Or you
like,
see them in like your Facebook feed a couple of years later, and you're like, oh, what?
And like it's not. I don't know, people who like you were friends, but like you weren't like seriously like attached to it, and like I don't know, just to like provide some closure to that. I don't think there's like anything inherently wrong with that. Like you interact with people, sometimes, once school's over, you might not see them again. That's fine, that's life, that's cool. But then I think the category that this person was probably talking about is like people who you start drifting away from, who like perhaps you used to be really close friends, or like that you have a relationship or friendship with them that you really value.
Yeah.
And it definitely happens because for a variety of reasons, your interests change. Maybe you don't see each other naturally through the course of your life. It happens, and like sometimes if you want to, you can do stuff to avoid that happening. But sometimes it just happens, and like I've had it happen, like with some of my people who I would have called like really close friends. Obviously, I still I don't hate them or anything now, but like we're not as close as we once were.
Yeah.
And I don't really have like a really solid answer for this, but it's definitely, I don't know, getting close, the same way that like in life you meet new people and you become close with them, inevitably some people you will drift away from and be less close with. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think, I sort of think that this is, like you said, pretty normal. I think the only kind of thing that I would add to that is the time that I think I experienced this the most, or it was most like obvious to me, was shifting from high school into university. Just because you have so many friends move to different regions, different countries. Different countries sometimes that happens. Different universities, and I think one thing that I realized quite quickly was you find out how many people that you were friends with because you saw each other 5 days a week for like X amount of years, and you were in that same situation for such a long time. I just refer to it as like friendships of convenience.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just what I call it. I noticed, like, I think for a bit, like, I was like, oh no, like, I feel like I'm drifting away from people. And then I realized that it's equal. If you find yourself drifting from someone, it means that one or both of you aren't putting in the effort to participate in that friendship so much anymore. And I think with that as well, if you are also not making that effort there, you have to assess whether or not it's a friendship that you genuinely want to keep, or it's a friendship that you just feel like you have to maintain because it's already been there for such a long time. Yeah,
definitely. And like, if you talk about like, I want to say like the hierarchy of friendships, that's not quite what I mean. But like, if I think of my friends, like there's people who I spend many hours with multiple times a week. There's people I might see once or twice a week. There's people I might see once or twice a month. And there's people I might see once or twice a year. And there's probably a couple of people who I like will consistently see, but maybe not even every year. And like that's a wide range of people. And there's nothing wrong with maybe someone who you used to see multiple times a day, or someone you maybe saw once or twice a week, becoming someone you see once or twice a month, or once every few months. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like even if you have it, like just because like you used to see them all the time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that now like it's like it shouldn't be awkward to like hang out with them, but only occasionally, if that's what you want.
That's what I was going to add to it is. Just because I don't think friendships can be quantified by the amount of time you spend together. Like I've got some of my best friends, just because we both suck at making plans and because we're always busy and stuff like that. We might only see each other every like few months, and like I live in the same city as her. Like she's a bus ride away. Like I probably walk past her place like pretty frequently, and. Excuse me, it's just one of those things that just because I don't see this friend as frequently doesn't mean I consider her any less of a friend. Sorry.
Some of my...
Sorry.
Not actually, at the moment, most of my closest friends do not live...
not even in the country.
Half of them are not in the country and the other half are just not in the city. So I don't see them very often, but like... That doesn't make them... They're still, like, definitely my closest friends. There's no, like, that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, if it is a friendship that you do really value, then you would be putting in the time to do your best to maintain that. And if you still feel like you're drifting away from your friends, that might indicate that they're not putting in that kind of effort as well. And I think if you're willing to go to such lengths for someone who isn't willing to reciprocate that, they're probably not the best mate that you want anyway.
It can definitely feel like that definitely happens, and it can feel feel disheartening.
It can, but you should also be aware that, like, not to be, like, clingy to people, because some people are, like, really busy, and, like, genuinely, like, very busy, and, like, people don't always mean to, like, blow you off or anything like that. Like, life happens. I think you have to understand that person's schedule and, like, reasonably, like, tell yourself, you know, just because I want to see this person all the time doesn't mean that I'm able to. And I think some people, I have experiences as well, where you can have people who it feels like they become too dependent on you or are, like, asking too much of you, like, too frequently, and that can be incredibly draining as well. And that is, like, the kind of situation that the person on the receiving end of that would want to pull away from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Definitely. Like, I have recently been trying to, like, not make myself, I don't know, I used to make myself, like, very available, like, not only to friends but for work and stuff.
Yep.
But I've been trying to, without being, like, an inconvenience to people, making myself somewhat less available, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, and it doesn't mean that I don't want to, like, hang out with you. It just means, like, I have, like, kind of maxed out my capacity for, like, this week. So, like, why don't we do something, like, next week?
Yeah.
Or something
and there's
like
nothing
that.
wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, another friend question. How to keep good friendships when everyone is so busy? So I think that sort of ties a lot into this. It's making time when you can.
Yeah.
And I think treating your friends like they are a priority. I think quite often, like, if we get too invested in our work or our academics or our schooling or whatever it is that it may be, I think quite often people, like, the first area of their life that people sacrifice is their social relationships.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll, like, build off that a little bit. I've noticed this as well, not just social, so I consider, like, social relationships that are, like, definitely something that people do, or, like, have for, like, their own, like, happiness and, like, like, holistic well-being. And it's interesting because when people start to get busy with, like, school or work or university, the first things that start to stop doing are the stuff that they do, like, for themselves. Yeah. Which I would argue should be the last things that you should stop doing, because the second you stop doing the stuff that you do to, like, keep you happy and stuff, like seeing your friends or, like, whatever else you do.
Within reason.
The other stuff starts to fall apart as well.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't enjoying yourself, you're not going to perform well when you go to school or work or whatever.
For sure, 100%.
Sorry, what was the question? I feel
how
like
to keep good friendships when everyone is so busy.
Yeah, definitely one, like, I feel like, I don't know, it depends on the people involved, because this doesn't work for everyone, but one thing that I'm never, like, even if I'm real busy this week, I'm, like, usually absolutely, like, happy to commit to a time, even if it's, like, in 10 days or 14 days. I'm happy to, like, book that time and like, commit to it. I know that not everyone operates like that.
I think for some people it feels a bit corporate.
I love operating my social life like corporate life. Nah.
I mean, it works though. Like,
it totally works.
No, that's the thing. Like, if you think it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid.
Like, if I put you in my calendar, like, I might not be free for the next 7 days, but I can book in time next week, and I will not fill up that time.
Like, some people may find that kind of something really silly, but at the same time, like, saying to someone, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm busy, but I'm free after this date, or at this date, like, it lets that person know that, like, even though you're busy, you're still willing to hang out with them and you want to make that.
And you're very keen to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it shows, rather than, like, just saying, oh, sorry, I'm busy, because it just seems like you're fobbing that person off, even if you do have a good reason, saying, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy right now, I can't do, like, this week, you know, however, like, I'm free, like, next week or something if you're free. Like, it shows that person that they're still, like, a priority to you.
Random thing, and people are going to hate me for this, I'm going to suggest to you anyway.
Are you going to tell people to Google Calendar and they're like, no, okay.
Though you should do that.
All right.
I totally Google Calendar my social
I know.
interactions with people. That
makes
it seem like
started going down again.
That makes it seem like I don't hang out with people unless they make a calendar appointment. Anyway, what I was going to say. Oh my God. Now I've lost what I was going to say. What was I going to say? What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, one thing that I think is super underrated is meeting people in the morning. If work starts at 8:30, I'm totally down to get coffee at 7:30.
Oh my God, that's so early.
I reckon that's really underrated. And people most 90% of people have no bookings, appointments before school or work starts.
God no.
So
because they're sane.
7 a.m. have brunch. Oh, breakfast, mate. It's just breakfast. They're free.
Oh my goodness.
How to invade people's calendars without permission. They don't have anything else on. They don't have anywhere else to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. Someone's asked that they feel like they're drifting away from their friends in year 13. And is this good or bad?
I don't think it's good or bad. I think it just happens.
Yeah. It's interesting. In my case in high school, some of my best friends were in the year above me.
Yeah.
And so in year 13, I still had a group of friends, but they weren't my close group of friends. And so when I was in my year 13 of high school, I still had some good friends at high school, don't get me wrong, but I did definitely miss having them there. And it did feel like I drifted away from them a bit, but it was just because they weren't at school anymore, and so I didn't have that convenience factor of being in the same place at the same time 5 days a week. But I don't know, I think in year 13 people start to become more informed. I think people start to decide the things that they find important to them, and I think people start to be a little bit more sure in who they want to be and the things that they want to do. And I think because of that, not everyone is as amiable as they once were. I think if you find yourself drifting, it might actually be you guys just have more differences that maybe weren't as apparent when you guys were younger.
Yeah. But if you if I was to produce a test, a litmus test, if you're interacting with 0 people from high school, I wouldn't say there's anything inherently wrong with that, but maybe you're neglecting relationships, but if you're interacting with heaps of people, I'd also consider that somewhat odd as well.
Yeah, I really have this thing that if you're friends with everyone, you're friends with no one. Because you were talking about before, I think as far as good close friendships go, I think you could probably only maintain 5 super close relationships all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry,
at any one point in time.
At any one point in time. The thing is, if you are friends with boundless amounts of people, it's likely that most of those relationships are pretty superficial because you probably won't spend as much time together, won't spend as much time getting to know each other, won't spend as much time making a connection.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if it sounds really cynical and if it just sounds like I didn't have a lot of friends when I was in high school, but do
we need to get you some therapy?
Probably. No, it's fine. I'm getting through it. But I am a very avid believer in this idea that your mate that's friends with everyone is kind of friends with no one.
Yeah, I'm down for that theory.
Yeah. I don't know, I think that sounds really cynical. But long story short, I don't think it's bad if you feel that you're drifting away from some of your friends. No. It depends on if it's a relationship or a friendship that you still really value and want to maintain, and then if that's the case, like Siren said, maybe that might be an indication that you need to
have them out right now, pause the show, be like,
let's
get coffee next week.
7 a.m.
7 a.m. You're free at 7 a.m.
Oh my god.
Unless you go to the gym. That's the only real thing people do at 7 a.m.
Somebody else asked, somebody else asked, said, it feels like everyone has their best friends in high school but me.
Sorry,
I don't know what the question so much is there.
Do they have friends from like extracurriculars or like.
And maybe,
like
or like
church.
different schools or something like that. Yeah, like just someone whose like closer relationships aren't in high school.
I feel like a lot of people have their best friends at high school, but yeah, if you're heavily involved in like some other community group, like not unusual to have your friends there as well.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that.
No,
like
I
having your
don't
friends
think
from
there's
not
anything wrong
high
with
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You go.
Most of my friends, I go to university. Most of my friends are not from university.
I think it's also one of those things. Like in the moment when you're at high school, it might feel a bit isolating. Like I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I personally would find with that is actually dealing with that day to day, like, I don't know, just like getting through everything, but not feeling as though like the closest, like your closest friends are like
that. I feel like
that.
we've got a short as the show's going on.
I definitely have because the seat
like I
keeps
have
going
as
down.
well.
Let me see if I can fix this. Okay. I think those are all the friend questions. Are we ready to get a little bit more heavy?
This is real heavy. This is where it gets.
Okay. So an
big oofs
astounding
ahead.
amount of you guys asked us questions about dealing with teachers. And some of them are pretty meaty and the seat is going down again.
Do you want another scene?
I might get another one.
Okay.
Do you wanna like
I'll continue.
read out pick
I'll
one?
make a start.
Okay.
So yeah, I put this question up yesterday, and Mackenzie went through this morning, the like answers this morning, and it was definitely more intense than we originally anticipated.
Oh, for sure.
Do we dive head first into like a hard one, or do we? Warm up?
Yeah, might as well. Let's get into the heavy stuff early, shall we?
Okay. Okay. I can't. Okay. How to deal with teachers withholding grades for punishment purposes. Okay. So like, I'm gonna like put a blank. We'll read out some of the other questions, but I'm gonna put out like a blanket answer for anything that anything that teachers do that can be objectively seen as like unprofessional. You should talk to like head of department, a dean, a principal. If you're not comfortable doing that, talk to your parents. And get them to do that.
Yeah, that was going to be something I've said as well, and this applies to
any sort of like anything that you could like if you like told another teacher who didn't know who the teacher involved is, and like they would be like that's an unprofessional thing to do. Like that's definitely like a good course of action.
My only thing that I would say against that is I know that I've had students experience this where their schools do not take action against teachers when I cannot speak
Got to
everything.
be pretty conclusively sure about what's going on when you do this. Like it has to be more than like a suspicion that they're withholding the grade because of something.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I think, you have to be sure of yourself, but you also have to go in with more confidence than you feel like you have, because in situations like that is the kind of situation where adults, teachers, I wouldn't put parents in there, but I would definitely say teachers and stuff like that, suddenly decide that you're a child again and that your opinion isn't valid, particularly if it's confronting something that's wrong with an adult who's perceived to be in that position of power. I have experienced this with some of my students, and then in my own schooling myself. They love to tell you that you're an adult until you do something adult that confronts them. And so go in with the confidence and don't let older individuals fob you off, because if it matters to you and if it's affecting you, then it is valid. And I think that that's something that I think is really important, is not just accepting these because it's something that people are quite hesitant to do and they don't want to have backlash and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, be confident in yourself.
If your teacher is withholding your grades from you as a punishment, I would like to know what that punishment is for. But that is also quite unprofessional. Would it be on the online system? If they have to log it in, surely it would be available on the online.
Like
passport that you could look at.
I don't know. Compared to some of the other things that we'll go into shortly, that's definitely one of the more odd, just in the sense that like
some teachers are odd, man. Though some humans are strange.
That's true.
But that's not fun. And like they could only, I don't know how long they could withhold that from you reasonably. And if it's punishment for something that's like already happened, like if they were saying, oh, you know, you don't get your grade back for this until you've handed in your draft for this, that's like less serious, I think. But it depends on the time.
It depends on the thing. Yeah, like if they're like withholding a grade for like an assignment because you haven't handed something different in, like that's not. Like, sure, technically, like, they shouldn't do that, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not super unreasonable,
Yeah. I think, you have to trust your own judgment in that situation as to whether or not your teacher is being reasonable or not. I would lean towards not, but, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of the situation.
Yeah.
A lot of people were asking, how do you deal with a teacher that you, like, just don't learn from, you struggle to learn from, who doesn't teach in a way that sort of is suitable for you, how to deal with a teacher who you don't feel like teaches you enough, or won't give you more in-depth notes and stuff like that. So there are a lot of questions sort of in this realm. And I think in any time that you are struggling to learn from a teacher, there is a point in time where it's important that you begin to take more initiative, because yes, should you have to deal with that? But
no, you finish what you're about to say.
Like, should you have to deal with that? No, but your own inaction only digs your hole deeper, and inaction in cases like this will only build up this mound of not understanding that you're not even trying to dig your way out of.
And by like mentally telling yourself that it's your teacher's fault and not doing anything yourself, you're like they're not the one who's like not going to pass or get a disappointing grade on something down the road. It's you. And
you can't write to NCEA or, you know, something in later on and say, oh, my teacher taught this poorly.
Definitely what, I totally agree. Like, if I was to take like the harsh devil's advocate approach to like that particular question, if your teacher is refusing to give you more in-depth notes, you can like, it's not necessarily their job to do that.
I was going to say that for that one in particular as well. Somebody in particular asked when they refuse to give you more in-depth notes, and I think again that's one that can be perceived in a couple different ways. Situation A is that your teacher isn't spoon-feeding you guys notes because they expect you to be confident or capable enough to be doing that on your own, which you kind of should be, to be quite honest with you. You shouldn't be sitting passively in class only writing down the thing that your teacher feeds you. You shouldn't expect your teacher to give you paragraphs of notes explaining every single detail of things.
You shouldn't be copying and pasting things from PowerPoint slides.
Should you expect them to teach you the content? Yes, but that format isn't going to necessarily be notes that they just hand to you so you can passively take it in.
Yeah.
In saying that, there are other situations where teachers just don't teach to higher levels. And in situations like that, that's not on you, that's on the teacher. But again, it boils down to this idea that if they're not going to help you, you have to help yourself.
Yeah.
And you can be frustrated and you can be annoyed, but if you choose inaction, then
you're the one who loses out.
Yeah, you're the one who loses out. Like, it's like when you get like mad at someone, then they offer you food and you're like mad at the moment, you're like, no, I don't want it. And then like later on, you're like, damn, I could use that food. Because you're being like real petty. That's the same thing.
Seems like you have issues, but okay, we'll continue.
Somebody who's listening or watching this right now knows exactly what they mean. I mean.
I've never, actually that's not true. I was going to say I've never refused food, but I'm like quite fussy with food, so I probably have.
Okay. And a lot of the time students will... Sorry, go. No.
With externals, like there's heaps of resources out there.
Yeah.
Study time study guides, study time strategy videos. But like, for most stuff in high school, there's like, resources available, like internals, like your textbooks and stuff usually have it. Like, sure, they're not super nice to read unless they're study time study guide. Take some initiative. Like, you can do it.
Yeah. I think and again, it's communicating with a parent, a different teacher, head of department, your principal, whoever. If you feel like it is completely unreasonable and some action actually needs to be taken. Yeah, for sure. Still on the teacher vibe, can I use a teacher for a testimonial that doesn't teach me anymore? For sure, as long as you get their permission.
Yeah, as long as they're...
Just ask them, get their permission, no worries. Yeah. So if one teacher constantly helps one person and doesn't help others?
Yeah. Thoughts?
I'm
just bouncing this question back to you.
I'm going to take a swing and say that the person they probably help the most is probably the most advanced person in the class.
Yeah, possibly.
Just, I guess I'm going off not my own experiences per se, but what experiences that I've heard from other people. Yeah. And it tends to be people perceive it as, oh, the teacher wants to work with this student because the student's smart, or they want to work with this student more because the student is more engaging.
Yeah. Often it's just, I'll tell you one thing that definitely happens that a lot of students won't acknowledge, is that at the beginning of the year, they won't ask any questions, and one person will ask questions, and later in the year, they'll be oh, they're always helping them, but you never asked any questions.
Yeah, I think it's also
that's not always the case.
Asking for help.
That's not always the case, but if you want help, you have to ask for it.
Yeah, for sure. I do think in situations like that, again, if it does seem completely unreasonable and you feel like you are really lacking support in your class, no matter how hard you try, then that is an indication that you should be getting, help from somebody else, in some way, shape, or form. Okay. How to deal with teachers that are super lovely but horrible at teaching? That's my teaching style. I make up for it in personality.
Yeah, that's my job style. I make up for it in bands.
Pay me in banter. Anyway, sorry, continue. Have you had any experience with this?
Nice teachers that don't teach well?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I don't know. It comes back to that part about taking initiative and realizing that you just have to learn somehow.
Yeah.
And it might be good to have a yarn with, but if you're not learning anything, that's kind of problematic.
Yeah, I think what is important here is that at the end of the day, they're not your friend, they're your teacher.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's actually interesting. I was having a chat with someone either yesterday or the day before, and we were talking about the teachers that we respected the most.
The teachers that you respected the most weren't the most friendly.
No, they're not.
God, no.
They are, but I don't. For me, it's really clear that I definitely remember the teachers I respected the most. They weren't the ones who tried to be your friend.
No.
They weren't necessarily the most strict teachers either.
No.
But I don't know.
They knew their stuff and they were passionate about it. I feel is the trend that I see.
But the I don't know. I feel like the power dynamic was always still very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's because they're drawing their respect from different sources.
Yeah.
Now, bear with me on this. So, in teachers that you really like, or you have good banter with, or you see in a more friendly light, your respect or your positive feelings towards that person isn't coming necessarily from respect, but because you like their qualities. Yeah. And this sort of lends itself more to a friendship, kind of a dynamic or a way of thinking. Whereas I think with a teacher that you see as somebody who is very knowledgeable, wants to share that knowledge and is passionate about it, I think your positive feelings towards that person stems from respect for them, respect for their job, respect for their area of expertise, and I think because of that you see them in not necessarily a more positive light, but it's a much more resilient feeling. I think it's more long withstanding than a teacher who you didn't really learn a hell of a lot from, but they were nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't have much more to add to that.
I think them being nice doesn't make up for the fact that they're not a good teacher.
It really doesn't. Yeah,
it doesn't.
You're not in the classroom for fun bands.
No, exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly. Yeah, that's sort of my words on that. Okay, so this next one is going to rile me up a good bit, so let's get into it. How to deal with teachers that compare you to your siblings.
Yeah. I haven't had this happen personally, but I know it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I know my sister and cousin are like very similar in age and went to the same school, and the teachers knew that. They're both like quite high performing though, so it was never really an issue. But I definitely know like it's a thing, and for some people it is like an issue.
Yeah.
I know you were talking about this earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fine because my sister probably doesn't ever watch this, so I can talk about it. But like, my sister was compared a lot to me when she went through, it started in intermediate and actually happened in high school as well. She dealt with it for a pretty long time. I don't know how much she had to deal with it like regularly, but I know she first experienced it in intermediate. And I would like to say now, like, I do not see myself as any smarter or more capable than my sister. My sister has things that she's much better at than I am, and I have things that I'm better at than her. And we're just different personalities. But she is equally capable as I am, as far as I'm concerned. And one day she actually had, she was our social studies teacher. I don't really care if they know. I don't think they will. They won't ever see this. It's fine.
I'll send it to them for sure.
Do it. Thank you. A social studies teacher actually, when my sister was in year 11, or she might have even been in year 12. I think I was out of school at that point. And that teacher actually went and got one of my old internals and brought it out and gave it to my sister and said, you should have a look at some of your sister's work to get an idea of what you should be doing.
Very cool.
And if you don't think that is one of the most inappropriate, unprofessional things that you could do as a teacher, you can get that out. When my sister told me this, I was so mad. I was genuinely
that's
so mad. Because I don't know why, like, if somebody's looking for the reason why teachers do it, I could not tell you. It does not make sense to me. I don't endorse it. I think it's pretty disgusting, to be quite honest with you. I
can tell you why. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but I can tell you why.
Why?
I don't know. I think there's just like a perception that like you are similar people due to genetics, so you should perform similarly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's true or correct, but that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't have any grounds. It doesn't make any sense, but it happens. And anyway, so my sister told me about it, and I was so mad, like incredibly mad. And I knew that was something that she had experienced, like not all throughout, like consistently, but she had encountered it every now and then. And I think if you are someone who your sibling is being compared to you, or you're being compared to your sibling, I think the worst thing that you could do in that situation is build up a resentment against your sibling for it.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
they've done
It's
absolutely
not their fault.
nothing, and it's not their fault. And I'm sure that if they were aware of it, they would be disgusted and sad for you. Like, I don't think that there would be any sibling in this world that would be like, well, maybe you should be more like me. You know, that's not what's going to happen. And so
Exactly.
I think in situations like that, all you can do is do your best to maintain a good relationship with your sibling and have that communication there. So, like, you know, when my sister said that to me, I was like, that's so disgusting. Like, what did you do? And she was like, I didn't look at it. And I was like, good. Like, don't. It's so weird. It's just, like, I could say to her, like, don't listen to her. She's so, like, that's so stupid. That's inappropriate. That's unprofessional. You shouldn't, like, don't feel like you're any less of a person because you're not doing exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the message that's being sent, right?
I think the answer is just like it's a thing that happens, but like ultimately pushing aside that teachers shouldn't do that. Like, there's like you and your sibling are like different people.
Yeah.
And like the same way like at school, like my sister did like much better than me.
Right.
But she can't like film a video.
Yeah.
Like there's no they're not comparable skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like, I think that's a perfect example of it, is you're not the same person, and just in the same way that you aren't compared to other people in your class, other people in different classes, other people in the same year as you.
Yeah.
you shouldn't be compared to your siblings. And I think the best thing that you can do in those kind of situations is either say to your teacher that it makes you uncomfortable that they do that, or just fob it off because they're being idiots. And you can just be like, wow, that was a stupid thing to say. I'm not going to think about that anymore. And that's kind of what my sister did. She was just like, I really hated it for a while, and like I really struggled with it for a while. And then like I realized that like they're idiots. And I was like, yeah.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
We've been going for just under 40 minutes.
Oh my god, we got to speed run these last ones. Okay. How to settle into a new school in senior years? If you switch school?
Throw a party at your house.
100%. How to survive high school while staying true to yourself while getting good grades? That's like every other episode of the Wholesome Half
Yeah,
Hour.
that's what we do. Go watch a different episode. Answer that one.
How do you deal with a teacher that hates you for no reason and treats you differently?
If you have something specific, confront them.
Yes, do it. Okay, this last... Okay, no, one more. Dealing with a sport that requires a minimum of 3 hours training a day. This.
Train for 3 hours a day. I don't have a smooth answer for that.
If it's that much of a priority to your life,
if you
and it's
enjoy
that
it,
important to you, and you enjoy it,
go
then
for it.
You just make it work.
If you don't enjoy it, reconsider it.
Okay, I think we ended up leaving the dooziest one for the last day. Okay, my math teacher is extremely racist and sexist. How do I not punch him in the face?
Don't punch them in the face.
First off, good idea. Don't assault anyone.
Don't assault anyone, and B, don't bring yourself down to their level.
God, that reminds me of Year 12 photo day. Anyway. Yeah, no, I think if your teacher is actually genuinely racist and sexist, that is something that needs to go to higher management, immediately, yesterday. If a teacher is willing to... I think teachers can put their opinions out there and they can share that with their class, but not if they are of that kind of nature.
Yeah, there's certain things that's all right to hit. Like, there's certain things that it's fine for teachers to have an opinion on, and there's certain things that no.
You shouldn't take that into any kind of workplace.
Yeah.
So you can speak or act in that manner in any workplace, and teaching is exactly the same. And I think almost even more important because they are teaching to impressionable high schoolers. Firstly, just know that they're stupid. Sorry. They probably know a lot about their field of teaching, but socially they're stupid, as far as I'm concerned.
Most academics are quite weird, just fun fact.
Yeah, we're a socially inept bunch. It's fun. Am I included in that? I don't know. Anyway.
You're calling yourself an academic?
I don't think I'm an academic.
Haven't even done postgrad. Wow. Interesting opinion of oneself. Dina is quite awkward for the audience.
But yeah, no, I think communicating with your parents, and especially if you see that teacher show any of that kind of behaviour in the classroom, particularly towards a student, I think that action is not something that would be out of question. I personally wouldn't be able to sit there while a teacher spoke to a fellow classmate, regardless of who they were, in a derogatory manner in any way, shape or form. That's something that is completely not tolerable. Yeah. Wow, we left that on a really pretty grim note.
Cool.
Thank you for all your questions, guys.
Thanks for all your questions. Great episode.
Yeah, we had some juicy chat.
Yeah, I might cut it up a little bit.
Oh.
Make some more snips.
Snips.
Yeah, people have been having banter in our work office chat, and I just keep seeing them pop up on your screen.
Yeah.
It's real fun. Great place to work. Thanks so much for watching, listening, guys.
And if
have a sick week.
If you see any parts of this
head up
episode
your
that
mate
you like,
for coffee at 7 a.m.
Don't do that.
Do that. Do it.
But do give us timestamps
of
parts of the
for the
episode that you thought were pretty neat.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
That's cool. We appreciate that. And give us a comment. Tell us something that maybe you've experienced that you've gotten over yourself. And also...
Yeah, teacher stories, I don't know.
Yeah, teacher stories are wild, man.
Let us know.
Yeah. But thank you guys for watching and or listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.